Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thank you for checking out the channel. Hope everybody's doing fantastic out there. The Miami Heat's regular season comes to an end with a very TCB win against the Toronto Raptors. They took care of their business. Unfortunately, because business was not taken care of by the Miami Heat earlier in the season, they needed a lot of help to get out of the play-in scenario, none of which happened. Very weird play-in day. Miami finishes with a record of 46-36 on the season and finished 8th in the Eastern Conference for this regular season. It was, you were hoping for a year where, like, all right, maybe something could break your way. If Miami wanted to be out of the play-in, they had a lot of things that they needed to break their way. They needed Orlando, which was probably the most likely thing to happen, you would have thought, going into this. The way they've been playing, the way that, Milwaukee still having the firepower they do, even without Dame, you're like, that's probably the most likely scenario. Maybe Miami can get the play-in their building. That did not happen. It was as competitive as any of these games was until it really just kind of spilled out of control in the fourth quarter. Then you had the Philadelphia 76ers. You would have also needed them to lose to Brooklyn. That really wasn't ever in doubt today. Indiana losing to the Hawks, that didn't have a prayer. Indiana was putting up a gazillion points today. So all of the lower seeds, there was really no action. Everybody kind of stayed put. The weird part of this all was seeing the top half of the Eastern Conference seemingly tank away the chance at the 2 seed, which was odd. And very unbecoming to be that afraid of the Miami Heat. The bums will tell you on the on the national media that they were avoiding Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, but I mean, let's be real about it. As great as Tyrese Maxey has been, Joel Embiid's never been out of the second round. We all know who they're afraid to face. Former foes who have already embarrassed them in the postseason. We know who they were afraid to face, and to see the Knicks, Bucks, and Cavaliers just completely threw it away against the Hornets today. Milwaukee, of course, had that thud ending to their game. Damian Lillard was like 2 for like a gazillion today from the field. He was terrible. And then the Knicks were in a dogfight with the Chicago Bulls. Some thought that they were tanking. And then, I think they just kind of were like, I think it's kind of hard to tank against the Bulls. So they pulled it out in overtime. So your Eastern Conference finishes like this. Boston 1, New York 2, Milwaukee 3, Cavaliers are 4. Cavaliers will take on the Orlando Magic, who are the 5 seed in a playoff series. The Bucks will take on the Pacers, which has had a little bit of heat this year, a little bit of riftness between Halliburton and Damian Lillard. We, of course, don't know really the status of Giannis Antetokounmpo, which could be a real problem for them if they don't have him against this high-powered, high-octane Indiana Pacers team. So, yeah, that is the 3-6. The play-in scenario is what it was 48 hours ago. Miami is going to go to Philadelphia on Wednesday, not Tuesday, because of a hockey game. So the Heat will get an extra day to kind of recover, which I guess is good news for Terry Rozier and for Duncan Robinson, as is, good news for Joel Embiid, who did get banged up. Remember the game before this, he did not play in today's game. Joel Embiid is still limbering and lugging himself through this whole thing. So that is your 7-8. And, of course, we know the 9-10 is Chicago-Atlanta. Should Miami lose to the Philadelphia 76ers, then they will play on Friday against the winner of Chicago-Atlanta at home. And it had just been announced. I was out to dinner with the family. I'd come back. I saw on Twitter. So here is the playoff start scenario for Miami. If they win on Wednesday, they start Saturday in New York. If they get kicked to the 8 seed game, they will start Sunday in Boston. And then, of course, if all disaster strikes, then, they'll be in Cancun. But most likely we're sitting here and we're looking at a we'll be looking at a Saturday or Sunday start for your Miami Heat. I don't think that they're going to get bounced by either one of those 9-10 teams. Quite frankly, I like the matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm not worried about it at all. I think the one thing I'll say about this Heat team, and this is what I asked Jimmy Butler after the game today, Miami's been a good road team this year. They put a little lipstick on a pig on their road at their home record. They finished 22-19, but for the most part, we're a 500 team at home all season. Whatever reason it was, I don't know why. They just really were not very impressive at home. I know the bums will make jokes about the Miami crowd. It ain't that. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's, lackadaisical. I thought the crowd was good this year. There was nothing wrong with your typical Heat crowds. Be honest, look, dude, I hear a lot more "Let's Go Heat" chants on the road than I do "Let's Go Sixers" chants on the road. So, say what you will. Those dummies can't even make a statue that doesn't look like a Monopoly piece. So I'm going to sit here and take any criticism from them. Either way, it is a fun storyline. I mean, Jimmy versus the Sixers is always going to be juicy. His relationship with Joel Embiid. The last time that he had a playoff game there, he ended their season and walked off telling them, Tobias Harris over me. Now the question becomes, is Jimmy Butler going to, tap into that mode, and do the Miami Heat have everything they need for a run? Still some injury questions with Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier. Terry still dealing with the neck thing. Duncan Robinson was at one point seeming like he was going to play today. Or at least the injury report would lead you to believe that. I'll tell you that Duncan always warms up with Bam Adebayo, and Bam warmed up today at like 11. There was no Duncan Robinson, so that was my immediate flare to, I guess Duncan Robinson's not playing. Because when I didn't see Duncan after the whole question thing, I was like, all right, that would rule that out. And that certainly is going to be an interesting thing, to go into these things shorthanded is not what you want. You'd like to have all of your horses. I'm sure Miami was cautious because that Toronto team is god-awful. I mean, they're really, really bad. They were trying to lose. It's why you really couldn't afford blowing any of these games. And, it was a pretty closely contested first quarter. It was tied, actually, at the end of it. Jaime Jaquez, I thought, was probably the best part of it. He was really, really aggressive. Jaime has had a nice week plus here where he's starting to look like himself. Had a real confidence going to the rim today. I was thrilled to see what Jaime was bringing to the table. Spo talked a little bit about this after the game.
He's fine. Really important. I just mentioned something to him in the locker room after the game that, he looked like himself, from earlier in the season. He has his legs under him. He's healthy. I think he has a clear mind. He has 70-plus games under his belt. He feels good. I think he has an idea of what his role is right now. There's clarity on that. And we need his offensive production. We need him getting downhill. We need his post-ups. We need him creating something, in those possessions where he get a little bit jammed up and he creates something out of nothing. You can see where he's improved. His passing is improved. His playmaking, and we need all of that at this time of year.
So he looked fantastic. Second quarter is really where Miami, jumped away in this game. And really the catalyst was Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler went on basically a 6-0 run by himself and put Miami up 5. At this point, the only bad news was Kevin Love left the game. He was grabbing his arm. They said, Spo referred to it as a stinger after the game. But then, they come back out from the timeout, and they really just pour it on him. Bam gets an and one. Caleb Martin hits an open 3. Tyler Hero had 2 nice finds to Caleb Martin for downtown shots. And then DeLon Wright was getting in on the action today. He had a couple of threes. And then there was a really sick play, probably the play of the game. There were 2 plays of the game, both by Caleb Martin. Tyler Hero goes out on the run. He fakes out 2 Raptors and then just does the dish to Caleb Martin for the slam, which at that point had put Miami up 17 points. There's 2 minutes left. Tyler is really going to work here on the Raptors and putting it on them. And that was the great thing about that third quarter. At that point, the Magic were up on the Bucks 47-42. So you're thinking, all right, still possible. Nets and Sixers was an 11-point game. Pacers and Hawks, you could forget about that one. So Miami comes out in the second half of this game, and they really just kind of keep their distance on Toronto. I would say the big thing in this one, Caleb Martin had just a hammer of a slam. He took off and just took flight, threw it down on all the Raptors. And then Thomas Bryant had a couple of big and ones with a Tyler Hero steal and slam mixed in there. And that was pretty much all she wrote. Miami goes into the third quarter, and they were up very, very comfortably. They roll on. Jaime got some nice buckets. He had a nice spin move in the fourth quarter. But he was, I would say, his resurgence over these last couple of games was probably one of the bigger things that you could take away. And you hope, he can bring something to you in the playoffs. This is Jimmy after the game. Jimmy discussing where Miami's at and how they get themselves right for the postseason.
We just got to go out there and compete, play basketball the right way, and do something very difficult, which is to win on Philly's floor. But it's a time of the year where, you're going to have to do that anyways if you want to win a championship. Obviously, we're going to have to do it if we want to get to 7.
Jimmy, you feel confidence in that? You guys are strong last year, and you guys know it can be done.
We're not the same group as last year, so we leave that where it's at. And we're moving forward with the group that we do have. But I are very confident in the guys that we do have, and we know what we're capable of. So we'll see what we got whenever the time gets here.
You always want to be playing your best basketball into this. Do you feel you're close to that, Jimmy? Do you feel that as a team, not just you, but as a team, close to that?
Yeah, we're all right. I guess we'll see whenever this game rolls around, but I feel like everybody's confident. Everybody's decently healthy for the most part. And we're just going to go out there and hoop, man. Leave it all out there on their floor and come out with one.
Obviously, there's no such thing as a playoff switch, but how much forward do you look to, getting the second season going for you?
I'm straight. I'm good. We all are. It's another opportunity to play basketball at a high level in front of the world, in front of our fans, in front of their fans. So it'll be a show.
I did ask Jimmy this because Miami has been a good road team this year, why he thinks they've had so much success. And this was Jimmy Butler's answer to that.
Jimmy, you guys have had a great comfort on the road this year. Why have you had so much comfort away from Miami for all your games?
And you know what? That's a hell of a hard question that I don't have the answer to. I wish we played better at home, but I don't know. Whenever we get on the road or back against the wall a little bit, I guess we get out of our comfort zone and then we really start making things happen. So I'm actually kind of glad that we're on the road.
Now, will that come back to bite him? I don't think so. Dude was just riding a horse through the streets of Miami. He's playing horse on a horse. So I think he's ready to lock in. I can't wait for it. I'm looking forward to it. Spo, as his maniac self as ever, because he was asked about getting the extra day, so that he will likely get a day of practice. They'll rest Monday, I should say, and then likely have a practice on Tuesday before heading to Philly. And but he said he didn't care. They play whenever.
Advantage to getting the extra day. I know you'll fly Tuesday, obviously, but just one more day to breathe and reset before playing Wednesday.
I don't really care. Could have been Tuesday. I would have been ready to rock. All right, thanks.
So we look forward to it. And then in the Western Conference, because that's in the wrap right now, you have Oklahoma City ending up finishing the 1 seed, Denver at 2, Minnesota 3. Very, very bunched up there at the top. The 4-5 is the Clippers and Mavericks. The 3-6 is Timberwolves and Suns. And then the 7-8 is Pelicans and the Lakers. Pelicans get to host. And then the 9-10 is Sacramento and Golden State. Sacramento gets to host. And so we will see if Steph Curry and LeBron James can extend their seasons. LeBron will obviously get at least 2 cracks at it if they cannot beat the Hawks the first time around. But the West playing is sexy. I mean, that's a nice playing. The Miami, it really is for Miami and Philadelphia. Like, it's a sexy first game, and then it's like, don't embarrass yourself in the second game. Like whoever loses the 7-8, don't embarrass yourself and lose to the Hawks and the Bulls, because they are, what are they, 39 and 43. So you finished 7 and 10 games respectively above these teams. What were they last year? I'd be curious to know. Last year was a lot closer. The Bulls that they faced, there's only a difference of about 4 games between the Bulls. They finished they finished with 3 games ahead of the Hawks, and they finished 4 games ahead of the Bulls. This is a much bigger disparity than it was last year. As embarrassing as it was that they did get Clint Capella in that first round, it all worked out. So looking forward to the rest of the week, seeing if Miami can continue to handle their business. And I cannot wait for this showdown. This is a fun one, man. Heat and Sixers, to see who gets the seed that nobody wanted. The seed that nobody wanted. They get to go see if we can get ourselves a Heat Knicks series to start these playoffs off. That is juicy.